The race for New Hampshire's 1st district is set to be a historic one, no matter who wins. In Tuesday's primary, Chris Pappas beat 11 Democrats to become the state's first openly gay congressional nominee. Pappas will face former police chief Eddie Edwards, who has support from President Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. If elected in November, Edwards would be New Hampshire's first black member of Congress. Eddie Edwards joins me now from Manchester, New Hampshire. Eddie, thank you so much for being with us. You know, New Hampshire's pleasure. New Hampshire's 1st district is the textbook definition of a swing district, having flipped in each of the past 4 cycles. Do you plan on reaching across the aisle if elected to Congress?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's what representation is all about, and there's no greater place to examine what representation is all about than in the great state of New Hampshire. My goal is to represent all of the folks in CD1. Absolutely.
So do you think then bipartisanship is important in 2018?
I think the goal for any representative anywhere is to go to Congress and represent their constituents. And that involves everyone. That involves Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Libertarians. It involves the citizens in your district. And so I'm very anxious to get to work for the citizens across our throughout the district.
So, Eddie, the president has implied that these midterms are a referendum on him. Do you feel that way as well?
I believe these midterms are about an American First agenda. This is the agenda that the folks voted for in 2016. This is what American families are asking for. American families are asking folks in Washington to put them first, to put their petty bitterness aside and focus on the American families. And that's certainly what they're looking for here in the state of New Hampshire. They're looking for moms and dads to be in charge of their communities once again. They're looking for the individual to be empowered, not to empower Washington.
So, Eddie, do you think that Giuliani's support might actually hurt you since this is such a big swing district?
No, I don't think support hurts you at all because people from various backgrounds and support comes from all over the district, and having Mayor Rudy Giuliani endorse my campaign, I thought was very beneficial. I think it speaks to the law enforcement community. I think the mayor did a wonderful job in New York of trying to engage community policing, and that's something I've always focused on. So I think it spoke volumes to many members of the law enforcement community and many members throughout the community.
Is there a brotherhood in that law enforcement community, you feel?
I'm sorry?
Is there a sort of brotherhood in the law enforcement community that you feel?
Well, there's certainly a closeness there because you really have to understand that in law enforcement, you're asking someone to put their life in your hands, and you're working closely together. You're serving your community. You're trying to deliver a service that your community to find value in it. And I think most police officers throughout this country have taken an oath to protect their communities and do what's right on behalf of citizens in their communities. And I think those are the things that citizens value in our police service, and that's certainly something that the police departments across this country and the men and women who serve in uniform value.
Now, so Eddie, if you were elected and Republicans keep control, who would you support to be the next leader of the House?
Oh, that's too soon to answer that question. I haven't met all of the members of the leadership and have had a chance to talk to them. So, I mean, that's certainly putting the cart before the horse. We got a lot of work to do here, and my focus is on the citizens here, right here in CD1, making sure their needs are being serviced, to make sure I'm focused on the families in this great district. And so that's where my focus is at this moment.
Yeah, no, and speaking of focusing on the families in your district, New Hampshire has the second highest rate of opioid-related overdose deaths in the country. How do you plan to address that if elected?
Well, we plan to hold a lot of people accountable, right? So if you look at one of the things that's happened in our nation is that I personally believe that we have put our young people in a very dangerous position. Right now, one of the statistics I looked at is that 1.1 million children under the age of 5 are taking psychiatric medication in this country. And that's a 2014 statistic, I believe. And so we're starting to drug our young people too early in life. We're starting to put a lot of pressure on them. And so a lot of young people have grown up never without the benefit of having medication in their system. I think that's where you start. I think you start from a preventive standpoint. I think you start from a standpoint of making sure that we have treatment facilities and we're doing enforcement. You know, we've taken a medical issue and turned it into a criminal justice matter. And I think you have to go back and hold people accountable. And that includes the pharmaceutical companies. That includes some of the sales tactics they've used. And right here in the state of New Hampshire, our Attorney General office is part of that process right now. So I think there's a lot of work we can do because New Hampshire is certainly a place where family matters to us here. And we're going to make sure that we address this issue in a very important way that brings some relief to families here in this state who are dealing with this problem.
So you're proposing sort of a multifaceted approach. Now, you know, at this point, we are fewer than 60 days away from the November midterm. There's no rest for the weary.
55 days.
55 days.
Yes,
Thank you for that correction.
Who's counting? Who's counting?
That's right. Please walk us through what these next weeks will look like for you.
Oh, it's going to continue. You know, I was one of the only candidates in this CD1 race, Republican or Democrat, to visit every single city and town in my district. There's 80. I was the only candidate to hold town hall meetings. I held 5 town hall meetings, and that's going to continue. Reaching out to the voters, delivering a message that inspires families and puts them in charge, and individuals. So this is really a look at, do you want more government or you want more family? And that's the message we're carrying throughout our district, and that's the one that's resonating with voters in this district.
Eddie Edwards, thank you, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much.